Pound for pound lists in boxing are controversial for a bunch of reasons. Firstly, most groups of people have different criteria for putting someone in the top 10 pound for pound list. The list of criteria could change even more when taking different weight classes into consideration and the fact that physical attributes give different advantages at different weight classes. Some of the criteria looked at are things like achievements and titles, skill set, quality of opposition, and activity level. It's tough to predict accurately how well fighters will keep up these criteria, but we're gonna do our best to predict what the list will look like in 2030. One factor I will put a set limit on is age. Since the oldest person on today's pound for pound list is 37, I'm making 35 the cutoff date for our list. We'll be working our way up the list, so let's first look at our number 10. Junaid Bostan is a British southpaw who turned pro at 18 years old and has been undefeated since. He boasts 7 KO wins out of his total of 9 wins in 9 fights. His style is aggressive and explosive, but also very thought out. Junaid picks his shots well and hits the mark more often than not with a lot of venom. He'll be 28 years old by the time 2030 comes around, and I wouldn't be too surprised if he's even higher up on the list by then, but we'll have to see him tested more to be able to tell. Next up at number 9, we have one half of the internet sensation, the Grandy Twins. They've been in the spotlight as prodigies since they were 9 years old. Their rigorous 7-day-a-week training at this age took the boxing world by storm. Now, at age 17, they've both begun their journeys as pros, and I've decided it's safer to talk about the one of them with more experience. Daniel Grandy has had his first 2 fights this year and come away from both with stoppage victories. In 2030, he'll be 22 years of age, and I think that makes this part of the pound for pound table a great place for this young star. Our number 8 and 7 have been featured together in a video on this channel quite recently, so if you want to know more about them, be sure to check out that video. At 20 years old, Abdullah Mason is already 15-0 with 13 knockouts. His amateur career started when he was 11 years old, and he began his pro career at 17. His early experience and talent is very visible, and he's passed every test so far with flying colours. Like our number 10, Abdullah will be in his fighting prime by 2030. A 26-year-old Abdullah could likely end up higher than number 8 by then. The other prodigy we're putting one spot ahead is 18-year-old protege of Floyd Mayweather, Curmel Moton. He had already had an astounding 64 amateur fights under his belt before he turned 17 last year. Today, his pro record stands at 5-0 with 4 knockouts and has made every opponent he's fought look like practice. A 24-year-old Curmel Moton in 2030 will be a force to be reckoned with. The names on the list from here on will probably sound a little bit more familiar. At the top of the bottom half, we have the Olympic silver medalist, the man they call the surgeon, Ben Whittaker. With his flamboyant entrances and iconic anime tattoos, Ben has been mesmerizing fans with his showboaty style. His high-risk style has not caused him any trouble yet, showing that his skill is the real deal. He's also quite fresh in the pro game in terms of fights, so in 2030, when he'll be 33, he will most likely be about this high up in the rank. A name you'll be hearing a lot in the next few weeks is Dynamite Daniel Dubois. The result of his next fight against Anthony Joshua will either make me sound ridiculous for putting him so high up in the ranks, or make me seem like a boxing prophet. Either way, Dubois has been up against the very best of his division already and fallen just short of already claiming that number 1 spot if he had beaten Usyk. In 2030, he'll be 33 years old, and I think having the experience he's had will solidify him as a pound for pound great by then. Very similarly to Ben Whittaker, our number 4 has also joined the pro game quite late. 29-year-old Olympic gold medalist Andy Cruz has had over 140 amateur fights and is now taking the pro game by storm. His technical efficiency is incredible, and with Cuban boxers having a habit of being in their prime quite late on in their careers, I'm almost certain a 35-year-old Cruz in 2030 may be even as high as number 1. Having said that, the next 3 fighters have just as much of a chance at making a statement that big. At the start of the prestige bracket of this list is the growing sensation Jesse Bam Rodriguez. The 24-year-old is 20-0 and has cleaned up the majority of his weight class and may soon move up to where the pound for pound number 2 Naoya Inoue is. He certainly has youth on his side, and his skill could get him a lot of glory if he were to move up to where the bigger names are. If this were to happen, I don't think there would be much doubt that he'd be in the top 3 in 2030 when he's 30 years old. Number 2 spot is a prestigious spot, and I don't think I'm far off by putting this promising star here. He's possibly the most promising teenager on the list, heavyweight sensation 19-year-old Moses Itauma. At 6'3" or 191 centimeters and growing, Itauma is a monster. At 19, he's already made his first WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight title defense. 20% of his fights have been decision wins, 20% second round knockouts, and a colossal 60% first round knockouts. By 2030, Itauma will be 25 years old, and I see very little chance of him not being at the top half of this table by then. Now for the moment we've been waiting for, the man I believe will be the best boxer by the time 2030 rolls around, is the global sensation Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Many already believe Tank to be the face of boxing. As a pro, he's 30-0 with 28 knockouts, including more than a handful of world-class names. Despite this, he's mentioned that his hit list of big victories have only just begun. I do think that he might be close to retiring by this time, as he'll be 35 years old, but I think he'll retire at the top and around then too. I would love to hear your thoughts on this list in the comments. Also, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the videos. It helps us tremendously. Until next time.